So let's move on to, I think, what is the heart of our conversation. A lot of great stuff to come, guys, so please stay tuned for more. But we're going to now lean into a conversation about the different options that are available for corporate executives. And I'm going to start with two together. And it's the familiar build it or buy it scenario. This is a debate that many of us
Yeah.
kind of have raging inside of us. So can we talk about the pros and cons of buying a business, Pete, versus starting one from scratch? What are we looking at here?
So when we look to buy a business, there are inherent pros to that, right? So we have a business that has a certain level of infrastructure in
Mhm.
terms of people. They've got some of the product figured out. They have maybe a location. Maybe they don't have a location, but they have a certain level of infrastructure associated with it, and that's a huge thing. They also have learnings, meaning they kind of understand what marketing works, what doesn't marketing work, and so there is a certain level of association associated with that, meaning that you're starting with something, and that may be momentum, and that may be a business that's doing really well or it's doing poorly, but you have a certain level of infrastructure associated with it. A con to buying a existing business might be is that that person that's built that business, they have in mind a payday. They want to be paid for all their hard work of putting together that business, and so this is their payday. And so they, in many times, have a little different opinion of what it's worth than, say, you may pay for it. And so that's a big thing. The second thing when trying to buy a business is you're going to find that you go to these business listing sites, and they're pretty combed over. And so it's really hard as you're looking to replace a corporate income of 150, 250, 350, whatever your number is, to go find businesses that fall into that sweet spot. And so it's really difficult to find good, solid resale businesses. They're pretty worked over.
Mhm. Now, let's compare buying a business with buying a franchise. A lot of executives don't know a whole lot about what franchise ownership really means. We tell ourselves stuff like, well, that means McDonald's, and we walk away from the idea. But educate us, please. What are the real benefits of owning a franchise? And when you compare that with buying an existing business, how do they shape up side by
Yeah,
side?
yeah, great. So I think when we talk about investing in a franchise, I use the term in my book, entrepreneur light. So
Mhm.
it's a way to get into franchising where you know you've got the support, and basically when you invest in a franchise, you're buying the rights to use their systems, their process, their procedures, their support, their brand. It's all part of it. And so literally the idea behind a franchise is they are going to come and they're going to tell you exactly what to do. So if you can follow a system, there's a great benefit to a franchise is because you have all this great support. They figured out who the customer is. They figured out who you should hire. They figured out what the right product mix is. They've figured it all that out. So you just have to step in. In that, by contrast, if you go to start a business, figure out with the big idea and take it forward, or even buy an existing business, bottom line is that you don't have that same level of support. So if you buy that existing business, that owner is going to give you a transition period, but bottom line is it's not the same as having 3,000 other franchisees you can call if you got a question, or have the support team call you if you got an issue with something from a franchisor. And then, from a standpoint of a startup, a lot of times people, as they try to figure out what the right product is, who to hire, all that kind of stuff, they make mistakes. And mistakes cost you capital in business. And capital is the lifeblood of business. And so if you can reduce those mistakes by investing in either an existing business or a franchise, that, again, it has the systems, the process, the procedures to try to reduce that, I think your odds of success are higher.
Can you tell us, on average, whether businesses that are begun from scratch are more successful than those that are bought by others or from others? And how does franchise ownership stack up against those two in terms of success rates?
Yeah, so I guess if I rated risk in terms of failure, I would say coming up with the big idea and spending a lot of capital, tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to prove it out, would probably be the riskiest.
Mhm.
Then I would say buying an existing business because, when I research businesses to buy, I was trying to look for where the turd lied, right? What's the thing that's going to kill me with this business, right? And so you're investing in something and you don't know all the variables associated with it. So I think that improves your odds of success. And then in a franchise is designed to give you that support, the process, procedures, the support to be successful. And so I think that's the least risky, but in all cases, there is risk associated with businesses, right? And what you're trying to do is mitigate that. So you take that a step further. You want to find a good, solid, proven franchise concept that's got a really solid track record, and that even improves your odds. But in all cases, there's risk. But I think if you follow that progression, that's the way I see it.
I want to share another chat from a listener, and I think this is a very useful piece of information. Their perception is that when it comes to franchise ownership, because there's a parent company, because they've invested their reputation and equity into the success of the individual owners, the success rate is probably better for that reason as well. Is that a fair understanding, Pete?
Yeah, it's a pretty good understanding. You see, franchisors, they want you to be successful. They go into franchising to basically have franchisees that generate revenue that provides then a royalty stream. And that's really why franchisors, that's their income. They provide support, but for that, they get a royalty. And so they, by the nature of it, want you to be successful. But number two is it is their reputation. And so in the franchise disclosure document, which is kind of like the stock prospectus for franchising, it is designed to ensure you're an informed investor. In that section, you have to actually list franchisees that have failed in the system. And so you will find that that's an F on their report card. And so they want you to be successful for multiple different reasons, and they're going to do what they can. And not all people can they help, right? Some people, again, they don't follow the system. They don't think they have to work.
When it comes to a franchise ownership, is it true, Pete, that much of the marketing support comes directly from the parent company versus when you're on your own and need to do all that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons why you invest in a franchise is because they've got the marketing. So they'll have a lot of the marketing materials. They'll kind of tell you where to market, how to market, and all that kind of stuff. So that's a real benefit. Now, they may not pay for the marketing, but they're going to kind of tell you what works and have all the collateral materials and things like that. So that's a huge advantage, and you're getting the buying power and all that kind of good stuff. You know,
Okay,
for example, search engine optimization, right? They can have one company that does it for all the franchisees. You pay a little bit, and they literally do that for you, right? So
right.
there's some real strength associated with marketing as it pertains to franchises.